The dangers of atheism in Egypt. Welcome to FFRF's Ask an Atheist. I'm Dan Barker. I'm co-president of the Freedom from Religion Foundation in Madison, Wisconsin, and we're coming to you from the Stephen Uhl Friendly Atheist Studio here in Freethought Hall, which is the national office of the Freedom from Religion Foundation. In some countries, in many countries, it is very dangerous to be an atheist, and even more perilous to be a gay atheist, and even more dangerous to go on national television in that country as an atheist. Our guest today, Mohamed Hisham, has a gripping story to tell about just that. Today's live show is called Ask an Atheist, and that means that if you have any questions, you can ask me or our guest in the Facebook comments there, or you can send an email to askanatheist@ffrf.org. So we're very happy to welcome Mohamed Hisham on our show today. Mohamed he's an atheist and an LGBTQI+ activist from Egypt originally. He's currently living and studying in Germany. So, Mohamed, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for the invitation, Dan.
Well, it's nice to see you again. We met back in Warsaw, wasn't it last April?
Yeah, I think so. It was a nice event, yeah.
Yeah, where we honored Richard Dawkins, and we met activists from all over the world, mostly in Europe and, of course, in Northern Africa, where you're from. And you're in Germany now. Where are you in Germany now?
I'm in Hessen, near Frankfurt. It's a nice place.
Near Frankfurt. So Germany's your home now. You were born and raised in Egypt, and we'll get to that in a minute, but you now consider yourself a German?
I don't have the German citizenship, and in order to be considered a German in Germany, one has to be born here, I mean, on a social level. So I wouldn't consider myself a German, but I consider Germany to be my home. And I would say that I do my best to learn the culture and integrate and be a valuable part of the society here.
Wow. So what are you studying?
Electrical engineering.
Engineering, huh? Wow. So, well, I could tell when we met there in Warsaw that you and some of your friends were talking engineering. I had no idea what you were talking about, but it seems like a fascinating subject. So before we talk further, and there's lots to talk about, let's look at that interview that got you kicked off Egyptian television. That was almost 5 years ago. This show is in Arabic that we're about to see, but there are English subtitles.
أنا ملحد، يعني أنا مش بصدق في وجود ربنا ومش بصدق في دين، تمام؟
إيه ثاني؟
أنا ملحد، فأنا مش بصدق في وجود ربنا أو بصدق في دين بس. ده الإلحاد. أنا مش محتاج الدين عشان أنا يبقى عندي أخلاق أو إن أنا أبقى نافع في المجتمع.
بقيت ليه ملحد؟
علشان مفيش أي دليل على وجود ربنا، أي دليل علمي، مفيش أي
ازاي مفيش دليل على وجود ربنا؟ أنت بتتكلم ازاي؟ يعني ايه مفيش دليل على وجود ربنا؟ مين اللي وجدك انت ان انت تكون موجود هنا كانسان او كبني ادم؟
انت عارف انت اتخلقت ازاي؟
ماشي، في فرضيات. ماشي، هقول لحضرتك في فرضيات كتير بتفسر ان وجودنا هنا على الكوكب ده، وفي فرضيات كتير بتفسر
انا بسأل اتخلقت ازاي؟ بقيت بني ادم
ما ترد
ازاي؟
انت بقيت بني ادم ازاي؟ انت موجود ازاي في الكون ده؟
تمام، طيب هقول لحضرتك في فرضيات بتحاول تفسر وجودنا، تمام؟ منها فرضية ان ربنا خلقنا، خلاص؟ في فرضيات بقى تانية عليها ادلة اكتر كتير، زي مثلا نشأة الكون اللي هو البيج بانج، تمام؟ اللي هو الانفجار العظيم.
كلمنا عربي. بص يا محمد، اللي بيشاهدونا ناس، انت بتتكلم في مصر والمواطنين بسطاء بيسمعونا، كلمنا بالعربي، بلاش المصطلحات اللي مالهاش لازمه.
هو المصطلحات بس سببها ان العلم ده كله اتعمل بالانجليزي، ولما الواحد
انا علم اللي انت بتكلمني عليه. انت عندك حاله من الارتباك، حاله من عدم الثقه، بتتكلم ان انت بتنكر الاله، بتنكر ربنا، بتنكر الدين، بتنكر كل الثوابت. طب انت ايه؟
سؤال صغير، ليه دي حاجه وحشه؟
لا طبعا حاجه وحشه. انا فعلا، بص اقول لك حاجه، انت جاي بتتكلم في فكرك، انت ما عندكش فكر، انت عندك الحاد، عندك كفر، ما ينفعش ان انا نخلي ده. انا بأسف جدا وبتأسف لمشاهديني ان يكون معايا شاب مصري بهذه الصفات. انا اسف فعلا ان يكون معايا محمد. انا مش هقدر اكمل معاك ولا تبقى موجود معانا في الحلقه للاسف، لان فكرك لا يتناسب. ما ينفعش ان احنا نروج لافكار اصلا هدامه. انت ما قلتش ولا كلمه من اول ما قعدنا مقنعه.
شوف حبيبي، هي انت محتاج تتعالج نفسيا. مرض نفسي بينتاب كثير من الشباب نتيجه لظروف معينه في اسرهم، ظروف ماديه، ظروف معنويه.
طب هناخد بالك يا شيخ. طب انت محمد فعلا زي ما بقول لك يا شيخ محمود، انت فعلا رحت لدكتور نفسي؟ انا بنصحك على الهوا ان حضرتك تطلع من هنا دلوقتي على مستشفى الامراض العقليه تكشف عن نفسك. انت ما ينفعش تكون موجود للاسف. مش هقدر اكمل معاك ولا هتبقى موجود معانا في الحلقه. انا بستاذنك ان انت تفضل تقوم وانا هكمل حلقتي مع الدكتور محمود، لان للاسف افكارك هدامه وتضيع الشباب المصري، وللاسف انت مثال سيء جدا للشباب المصري. هنطلع لفاصل يا جماعه وضيفنا يغادرنا ونكمل مع الدكتور محمود. وانا اسف مره ثانيه للمشاهدين، لا انا اسف جدا ومره ثانيه ان يكون معايا مثل هذا الشخص. انا اسف وبتاسف ثاني لجمهوري ان انا جايب شاب مصري جاي بيتكلم في افكار للاسف ما عندوش اي حاجه مقنعه وما عندوش اي حاجه ممكن يقدمها، وده مثال سيء للشباب المصري وهم مش كتير للاسف. يا محمد انت ما ينفعش تكون موجود، ونصيحتي انها تطلع لمستشفى الامراض العقليه.
You've probably seen that show many times, haven't you? Now.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Well, you were very brave. But I have to ask you, have you received psychiatric counseling since then?
Yeah, I mean, actually not, no. But I would say that the support that I got from many people online on an international level was really helpful, because at some point I was, I had a lot of suicidal thoughts back then in Egypt after this interview.
Wow.
But I mean, I would say what helped a lot was to have this online support from people all over the world.
So how did this happen? How did you get invited? He said he invited you on the show. What kind of show was it, and how did you get to be invited on that show?
I was part of an atheist group, underground atheist group in Cairo, and in this group there was a person that had friends that works in TV, and they wanted to interview atheist people who are coming from a Coptic, means Christian, Orthodox Christian, and from a Muslim background. They did not find anyone except me. I am the only one who really volunteered. And back then in this group, I would say it was somehow there was a strong wave against going there because of the consequences. It would be one would risk his life in the process in going going in the air and on such program or so.
Wow.
And that is true because there are people who are in prison right now for similar things, maybe less serious even than being on such an interview.
Well, the host said that he knew you were an atheist when they invited you, and then he criticized you for coming on as an atheist. Is that hypocritical?
He wanted to discuss the topic, and I think he noticed that I'm starting to make sense. And then if I started to make sense, then he would be blamed for it. Yeah. He would be blamed because he's giving me a platform. And in order to protect himself, he must act in this way.
So are there some laws in some countries where the host or the TV station could get in legal trouble if they did invite somebody who was gay or atheist?
Egypt is governed from a military government, and there are laws, but there are also people who stand above these laws. So, and when you anger these people, if he angered these people, then then he's gone. Simply, he's like, over for him. Then and these people monitor media. They monitor everything, and they monitor our TV, and they monitor media, and they monitor private channels that are being aired from Egypt or from Cairo or so. And one must make them happy, these people who monitor things.
So maybe he was not so much afraid of you as he was afraid of what would happen. He was worried about what would happen to him, right?
Yeah, you have to put it in context. That religion in my country has a strong political aspect. It's really political, unfortunately. And so you know that there are countries where political opposition are punished. You know that, okay? I think everybody knows that. And religious opposition is punished in the same way, but I would put a more layer is that it's not only punished from the government, it's also punished from the people, the common people. That's a situation, actually.
Wow. So what happened after that show aired?
Well, a lot of things happened. Two main things I would say is that I had to fake that I'm back to Islam. I had to start to visit a person from Azhar. Azhar is like an official organization in Egypt that is responsible for Islam there. And it's a really powerful organization. So they have a lot of money, resources, people, and they are like government officials. So I had to visit a person there. I had to discuss religion with him, and at the end of the day, I started to pretend to be a Muslim. I started to go in the church, in the mosque a couple of times a day, and then until I found a way out of the country, and then I was out in order, to just be able to live normally. Simply, it's like that. That was my only wish, to have a normal life.
Were you raised religious?
Actually, I would say a little bit more than the average in Cairo.
So you know all about Islam anyway, right?
I knew a lot. I knew a lot. Not study Islam also out of the school. So it's like Islam classes in school are somehow forced on people, and then you have this Friday prayers, and these prayers like almost many people take part in them. And then you have something like you're sitting in a bus, and the guy in the bus are turning a religious podcast really high in volume, and you have to hear that. And you are turning on the TV, and then you find an imam, and he speaks also about a religious topic. And then you would walk in the street, and then you find a poster saying Islam is a solution, the solution for all the problems somehow. So the environment itself is the normal environment for my social circle, and my social layer was strongly religious, and additionally to that, my mother did really invest in my religious education. Like I had to go to an extra school to memorize Quran, for example. I wouldn't say that I have a mastery or that I know everything of Islam, because like they write a lot of things, they write a lot of books, and so the Quran is, in comparison to the books that try to explain the Quran are really small book. So there are a lot of ideas going around, a lot of interpretation, a lot of philosophical arguments, and people make it to the work of their life. So they work that's their work. They get paid for it, and they do it. They get paid from the government for it. They get paid a lot for it when they are good at it. So it's a really complicated.
So
situation.
You said that you were part of an atheist group in Cairo. Are there a lot of atheists that you know about, or are they secret, or are young people in Egypt now much less religious? How much atheism is there in the country?
Unfortunately, there are not official statistics. I cannot really judge that. All what I can say is that through internet, people with the same maybe ideas or doubts started to find each other and maybe started to form groups. I don't think that we have really people who say, yeah, I'm an atheist. I don't think that we have any political power in this respect. We don't have also any social power that could be noted. I can imagine that some people who might be atheists, who might be working in certain places in the government and try to move things a little bit around. But yeah, I don't think that these forces are strong. And I give you an example. As I was in high school in Egypt, we studied evolution. So that was part of the biology. We did not study it in terms of humans, but at least we had the evolution theory. We had the natural selection. We studied that. I don't think that they teach that anymore. They have stopped. And I remember when we take this biology lesson, we would be the teacher would tell us everything I will teach you today is like wrong and forbidden, and then then simply just have to learn that for the exam.
Well, then
so it was a matter of time.
You learned too much, didn't you, Mohamed?
I'm not really sure. I think I always had doubts. It's only my personality, I think, because these doubts started as I was a little kid.
I was curious on the show. The host was criticizing you for using big English words. Was that the word Big Bang that you said?
Yeah. Yeah, I can also put that in context better. Yeah, the thing is that there is a stigma in Egypt when a person uses English words because, like, how to say, you're a show-off. You're using English words and you're a show-off. But yeah, the thing is that we have stopped translating science. And there is not a lot of things that is being actually translated in Arabic. And that I have to also to mention the projects of Richard Dawkins. These projects are trying to translate the books of Richard Dawkins in Arabic. That is really good because a lot of people in my country cannot really read English, so that might give them access. But however, the thing is that, or my approach is that people should learn English, and every English word I used, I translated into Arabic. But people have to understand that there is another world out of this bubble of Arabic, because the thing is that the problem is that we have also a censorship in Arabic. So books are being banned. Books are not being translated because they are not approved by the ruler. Things like that in this direction, and I find that problematic.
So you got to meet Richard Dawkins, didn't you, for the first time there in Warsaw in April?
I mean, it was really, really a pleasure. I have met him. We took a walk, actually. Also, we ate together.
Yeah.
That was really a pleasure to get the chance to meet him in person, and just it was extremely delightful. And yeah, I've enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
I hope we get the chance to meet again also.
So one more question before we take questions from our viewers. During that TV show that you were kicked off of, the host asked you, how can you be good without religion? How would you answer that question?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the thing is that some people try to put this. I mean, it was a fear of me, of my fears. I always was afraid if I leave Islam, then I would turn to a monster. Then I would just be a really bad person, because they always teach us like the only thing that's keeping us from being monster is like being Muslims. And yeah, I mean, I left Islam and I did not turn out to be a monster. I'm still a normal person. I found myself that I'm doing the same good things that I used to do as I was a Muslim. I continue doing that, but I found other reasons for it. And I will give you an example. It was extremely, there is a lot of poverty in Egypt. And if you don't have a car in Egypt, and a lot of people don't have a car, and I did not have a car, then you get the chance to meet a lot of people who are asking for money on the street. A lot of people, I mean, not 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm speaking of tens of people. And I used to give these people money, and I had that in the back of my head that I'm doing that in order to go to the heaven, in order to please Allah. But afterwards, after I became an atheist, I have done the same thing. I have also given these people help. And another reason was sympathy, humanity. I don't want to see them suffering. I want to live in a community where people actually help each other. So I found other reasons. Some things that might have been maybe bad that I was thinking, I stopped thinking. And things that might be related to violence, for example. I mean, there's a lot of tendencies of violence in some parts of the Quran, some parts of Islam, and unfortunately, they are not like being dealt with wisely from people who teach Islam, people who say we are moderate, but they are not processing these parts wisely so that people would perceive them as, yeah, somehow in a way that would not motivate violence in people. And these tendencies, maybe hate toward people who are not Muslims, for example. I don't have this hate anymore. I don't have it toward any group of people. That's a positive change that I can notice.
Yeah. My mother said the same thing. When my mother became an atheist, she said, I'm so happy to be an atheist now because I don't have to hate people anymore, you know? The same idea. So you say morality is basic human sympathy, which we all have, religious or not.
Yeah. I have also to say that hate must not be a part of religion if it's processed correctly. I mean, if people who are working on these religions, who are trying to deliver them and trying to explain them, did that in a more human way, then hate must not be part of it. And we, as atheists, I think we also should push for that, because they are not going to disappear. Religions are existing, and they are not just going to disappear tomorrow, but they might be more human, less dangerous. And I think we should also go in this direction. It's more realistic also sometimes. I mean, all directions should be considered. All directions should be considered, but this is also something that we should not be neglected.
Well, I think you are very brave, Mohamed, for what you did. And on that show, you looked so calm and relaxed and happy. You didn't look like a mad atheist person, and yet they had to throw you off of the show. Can you stay with us for a few more minutes and we can take some questions from viewers? We have some. We're talking with Mohamed Hisham. He's from Egypt, but he now lives in Germany. Phil M. is asking a question. Did your family get any blowback from that interview? And what is your relationship with your family? Are they still in Egypt?
My family, the position of my family was against this interview, was the only news that I'm an atheist through this TV interview. So they have seen it actually on TV that I'm an atheist. And wow. That was not, that did not progress well. The situation, I would say, turned a little bit violent, turned a little bit with threats. That was from the side of my family. I don't think that they did did not receive any official threats from the government or so, because they were really also not involved in it. So on a social level, it was a scandal somehow. So they had to deal with that. The scandal aspect of it.
Are you still in touch with your family?
In touch, I would not say that. I would say that it's really limited contact, if I may say.
Wow, well, that is very sad for that to happen.
Yeah, it is sad. It is sad, and it is very unfortunate, and it cannot be changed, unfortunately.
Well, you probably have a lot of new friends and new quote-unquote family now as freethinkers. Here's a question. Yeah, a question from Richard R., who's watching the show, says, are you afraid? Do you fear for your safety, or do you worry about saying the wrong thing to the wrong person? Maybe not so much in Germany, right?
Actually, also in Germany.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It's also about how we could just live peacefully together. I don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. And that is only my approach to the situation. And for that reason, I think I do not provoke people. I do not tend to provoke anyone. I do not tend to stress or to cause stress. I just try to have a peaceful life. I think my only what I really wanted in Egypt is that we could just have a civilized, open conversation about the topic, without stress, without violence, without even mocking anyone, without sarcasm. Just a normal, relaxed, rational conversation about the topic. And I think that is possible in Germany, but I actually do not do it because I don't want to cause stress simply. That's my position.
Well, there's a lot of atheists and agnostics in Germany. We know many of them there. Can you go back to Egypt?
I cannot, no.
Oh, you cannot. What would happen?
I'm not really sure, and I don't want to test it. But all what I can say, I also do not want to go to Egypt. It's like I don't miss anything there, I have to say. Only one thing I miss there, it's a food named kosheri. I like it a lot. And no place near me makes that, and I cannot cook so good. That's the only thing I miss in Egypt.
Wow.
Other than that, I'm just comfortable here.
Well, maybe if you fail as in engineering, you can become a cook someday. But there's one more question.
I cannot, unfortunately. That wouldn't work.
We have one more question before we end. George F. is asking, is there any way you can foresee that atheism would be allowed in Egypt someday without punishment?
I cannot imagine that in the near future.
Well, maybe someday. Let's not pray about it, but let's keep as you are an activist for human rights and civil liberties and that, let's just keep working hard for that then. Well, thank you so much, Mohamed. It was great to meet you in Warsaw and then to talk with you today. And you have a lot of new friends here who sympathize with the situation that you're in, and we applaud your courage and we applaud your intelligence. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
And that concludes Ask an Atheist for this week. Next week on Ask an Atheist, FFRF attorney Chris Line will be talking about book bans. And don't miss Free Thought Radio. This week, Annie Laurie and I are talking with Berkeley professor David A. Hollinger, author of Christianity's American Fate, How Religion Became More Conservative and Society More Secular. You can hear Free Thought Radio broadcast on stations around the country or listen to the show at ffrf.org/radio or wherever you find your podcasts. We invite you to become a member of the Freedom from Religion Foundation to help us keep state and church separate. Go to ffrf.org, subscribe to our email list, or donate or join as a member. If you've already done that, thank you. We'll see you again next week on FFRF's Ask an Atheist.